Here she is as a person, an athlete who's supposed to be speaking up for women in sports. She was the same person that I believe was a victim of that weirdo gymnastics coach. I forget his name. The weirdo gymnastics coach that was like watching the girls shower. I think he was even getting naked in there allegedly. I don't know the exact story, but she went through these very same things that ironically Riley Gaines went through. Where you got to change in a locker room with a guy with his penis out and you're a woman. You're a girl. So what Simone Biles went through and her traumatic experiences with this, Riley Gaines actually went through it. The only difference is Riley Gaines is actually speaking out against it. Simone Biles is out here speaking up for supposedly speaking up for women's sports, but her behavior and what she's fighting against is doing the opposite. She's actually speaking out for boys and men in women's sports.
Oh my God.
We were discussing when it comes to Simone Biles and Riley Gaines. Just to give you a quick refresher, Riley Gaines is she was a super successful swimmer. She was the swimmer that tied with I forget the Leah Thomas, who was the biologically born man who is a transgender athlete, one of the earlier ones that started to make noise when it came to this issue of men and boys competing against women and girls in sports. So Simone Biles came out and felt that she needed to say something because Riley Gaines called out this baseball team. I believe they're in Minnesota, this softball team. I'm sorry. I guess I'm calling it baseball because you got a boy on there. But they wanted their best player who was pitching multiple shutouts. They won the state championship in softball, but their best player was a boy, a biologically born boy. And the boy, as you would expect, was far superior athletically to not only the girls on their team, but across the board with the players that they were playing. I believe that the boy pitched like multiple shutouts, all these different things. So when they announced that they won the state championship, they turned their comments off. And Riley Gaines just commented saying, like, hey, no wonder why you turned your comments off. It's pretty obvious because your star player is a boy, but you're announcing that you just won the girls' high school softball state championship. So we don't need to get into that. We're just going to kind of give you a little update with it. So this was Simone Biles' update because Simone Biles, she actually showed us an example in her tweet before this, how much she is an example of the things that she says that she hates. And this is a reoccurring theme that we see, or that I see. Maybe it's because the perspective that I'm looking at it as more of a conservative. Everything that the Democrats say that they hate in Trump, it seems like they do the exact same things. They become the people that they hate, that they say they hate. And and I don't respect it. I'm gonna be totally honest. If you complain about the things that the Republicans do, then why would you then go do those things? Now, some people may say, well, you got to do what you got to do to compete against that. Well, that's why I say that the Democrats and liberals have no foundational principles. They have no foundational messaging. Everything is just anti this, anti that, anti Trump, anti Republican, anti conservative. The Republicans, I don't see them, and maybe somebody can point it out for me, saying, oh, let's complain about this what the Democrats do, then let's do the same thing. Maybe they do, and maybe I'm just not seeing it from that perspective. I'm biased, letting y'all know it just is what it is. So I may be missing that. Just being totally fair with y'all, or honest. All right, so what I was saying is Simone Biles body shamed. She body shamed Riley Gaines. So here she is as a person who's supposed to speak up. And hold on, let me change this a little bit. I want to make me big a little bit. So here she is as a person, an athlete who's supposed to be speaking up for women in sports. She was the same person that I believe was a victim of that weirdo gymnastics coach. I forget his name. The weirdo gymnastics coach that was like watching the girls shower. I think he was even getting naked in there allegedly. I don't know the exact story, but she went through these very same things that ironically Riley Gaines went through. Where you got to change in a locker room with a guy with his penis out and you're a woman. You're a girl. So what Simone Biles went through and her traumatic experiences with this, Riley Gaines actually went through it. The only difference is Riley Gaines is actually speaking out against it. Simone Biles is out here speaking up for, supposedly speaking up for women's sports, but her behavior and what she's fighting against is doing the opposite. She's actually speaking out for boys and men in women's sports.
First and foremost, want to give a huge shout out to everybody that continues to tap in with us, like and subscribe and join our community. If you haven't already, please make sure that you do. We look forward to engaging in some dope convo with you that can help us all elevate. So like, subscribe, and maybe even share the video if you're feeling real generous. On that note, we'll let you get back to the video. See you soon.
That's what she's doing. So she decided to body shame Riley Gaines by saying, pick on somebody your own size, which ironically would be a man. And this is something funny again, because Simone Biles, she's actually come out and made it clear, speaking about how she always felt ashamed or that people would make fun of her muscular stature. So once again, the same thing that Simone Biles went through, now she's doing the very same body shaming to Riley Gaines. So it was just one of those things where Simone Biles clearly just was on the wrong side of this. But let's look at the tweet that Simone Biles put up, because she did apologize, and that should be acknowledged, and perhaps we should celebrate it. I don't know. Y'all decide what y'all want to do with it. So it says, I wanted to follow up from my last tweets. I've always believed competitive equity and inclusivity are both essential in sport. The current system doesn't adequately balance these important principles, which often leads to frustration and heated exchanges. And it didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize for. These are sensitive, complicated issues that I truly don't have the answers or solutions to, but I believe it starts with empathy and respect. I was not advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports. My objection is to be singling out children for public scrutiny in ways that feel personal and harmful. Individual athletes, especially kids, should never be the focus of criticism of a flawed system they have no control over. I believe sports organizations have a responsibility to come up with rules supporting inclusion while maintaining fair competition. We all want a future for sport that is fair, inclusive, and respectful. XOXO, Simone. All right. Says a lot and still is, in my opinion, trying to straddle the fence on an issue that's very clear. There is a perfect solution to this. Boys play with boys, girls play with girls. And if you feel that you're whatever else, that you're identifying as something else, you either decide to play with the group that you are biologically aligned with or created a separate group. Seems like pretty common sense to me. I believe Riley said it. I believe Simone Biles said it. I even believe that Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, said it when he was interviewing Charlie Kirk, and he made it very clear that he has daughters and that there is a huge issue of fairness when you have biologically born boys, men, males competing against biologically born women, females, and girls. It just is what it is. So but she brings up a great point that I want to address. I believe she was talking about the leadership. I believe sports organizations have a responsibility to come up with rules supporting inclusion while maintaining fair competition. Well, if the sports organizations aren't going to come up with it, then it has to come from a leadership standpoint. So here, I believe the even bigger situation or bigger story that happened a week before in California with the boy that was biologically born boy that was competing in the track and field, I believe was the triple jump that qualified for the states. Gavin Newsom, your governor, said that this is an issue and that it's unfair. But because leadership does not do anything, just like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass in losing control over LA with the riots, what ends up happening? When current leadership does not address the issue, then other leadership has to come in. And that's the problem that we're seeing. That's the only reason why this whole transgender athlete thing is even a debate. It's because the people that should be making these decisions are too scared to put rules in place that are common sense and fair to everybody, in my opinion. I got to say, in my opinion, right? So from my understanding, this is just another case of people trying to kick the can down the road, nobody trying to make decisions, nobody trying to be dad in the house. Because everybody gets mad at dad in the house when he tells you to eat your vegetables. Oh, we're going to turn off this TV show and we're going to watch the news. we're going to turn off the TV completely and we're going to talk about what we learned in school today. We're not going to be able to play our video games all day. You're going to go read a book. Nobody likes to be dad. And that's what Democratic and liberal politicians are suffering from. They want to play mommy. They want to be loved by everybody. So therefore, they're so scared to make decisions that they know they should be making because they know that they're going to enrage the community or risk hurting somebody's feelings. Yo, feelings get hurt all the time. It is what it is. And the more feelings are going to get hurt when you continue to feed lies to these young kids that are obviously going through some type of mental health condition. They're going through something. They're going through something. They were born as a boy and they feel like they're going through something. But you continue to coddle them. You continue to not only coddle them, you're promoting it. And then you're creating an even bigger problem in them. And then you're going to sit back and wonder like, oh, how did we get here? It's because you did not want to play dad. You just wanted to be mom. It is what it is. So, all right. So Chalk said Republicans definitely do the same. And I believe you wrote this. Hold on. Let's see when you wrote this one. So you wrote this at 8:37. All right, perfect. It's 8:38. You know what I'm going to ask you? If Republicans do the same, I just gave you an example. Just give me an example. I told you I'm totally open to Republicans doing the same. But I gave you an example of how Democrats do it. I actually gave you multiple examples. So my question for you would be, just give me some examples. I'm totally fine with conceding that point. I actually led with it. So I'm cool with it, but you got to identify exactly how they do it. Because from my standpoint, if I was to ask you, what are the Democratic principles? What are the liberal principles? What is something that Democrats stand by? I don't know what you would tell me. But if we actually started talking about the Republican principles, I think that I can give you what the principles that I stand by. Being more conservative. As a libertarian, I align more with libertarians, so I want less government. I want less government. I want less assistance because I think that all this government assistance, especially when it comes to impoverished people, I think that you're just corrupting their minds and having them stay more in that mindset. So when I hear Democrats complaining about January 5th, but then totally cool with what's going on in Cali, I don't know. But give me some examples. That's all I'm asking. Give me some examples. Sex identity, it's not something a parent is supposed to encourage a male child to feel as though he's a female. I agree. I agree. But in my opinion, the liberals are so lost. They just can't, they can't bring themselves to there's just no principles. There's no principles. If I was to ask, going back to the point that I was talking about earlier, when I said that the Democrats seem like they're contradicting themselves and they have no foundational principles. Like it or not, all y'all were complaining about Project 2025, right? Now, even though that may not be Trump's direct agenda, there were a lot of Republicans contributing to that. So when you look at Project 2025, what did it do? It laid out a whole bunch of things, the plan, right, that they were hoping to put in Trump's hands when he won the White House. Let me ask you this. What plan did Kamala Harris have a Project 2025? Did the Democrats have a Project 2025? Did Joe Biden have a Project 2025? What did Joe Biden stand on? Y'all may not remember, even though you voted for him, but you know what Joe Biden's #1 agenda was when he was running for election in 2019? It was the LGBTQ community. That was his #1 agenda that he said. Why? Why? The same Joe Biden, the one that created the crime bill, the one that first put it into play when Bill Clinton was in office, that locked up all these black men, that probably destroyed more black families than any other piece of paper in the history of America. That same Joe Biden, when he was then given a position, now they were talking all that shit about reparations and this was we're going to get reparations. We're going to push for this, right? But then he made his #1 agenda, the LGBTQ community. Let me ask y'all this. When was the LGBTQ community enslaved? What years were the LGBTQ community enslaved? What years were the LGBTQ community, did they have their families separated because of Joe Biden's crime bill? Oh, okay. It's because y'all have been manipulated and finessed to vote Democrat, just like y'all been manipulated and finessed to be Christians, just because the people before you got manipulated and finessed to doing it. Because y'all are lazy, because you don't want to take the time to learn about a new religion. You don't want to take the time to explore actually what the policies of the Democratic Party are, what the policies of the Republican Party are, what the policies of these candidates that you're voting for, to the point where y'all are so lazy. Y'all had a president in all y'all were okay with having a president in office who had a cognitive decline that didn't even know where he was half the time. And we're still not asking the questions: who put these pardons in place? Who was actually running the country? Who was making these decisions? We still don't even care about that. If it was my party that I was voting for, if it was my family, my community, my village, my tribe, I would be more upset than the people whose it's not their village. Democrats should be more upset with what happened with Joe Biden than Republicans are. And matter of fact, this is probably a perfect segue to move on to the next topic. This is a perfect segue to move on to the next topic, because we're going to talk about Karine Jean-Pierre, right? Who better, who better to tell us, or who better to use as an example as to how lost this last administration was? How lost this last administration was? Who better to use that example? And Chuck, we're not calling out any names, but I'm still waiting on that. I'm still waiting on that. Mo Crush, you wrote immigrants. Let me know exactly what you're writing immigrants responding to. I don't know what to take. I'm sure you're responding to a question, but if you can, just write exactly what you're referring to. So Chalk wrote, I don't think her comment implies body shaming him. I think either I'm confused or you may be a little confused. Simone Biles was saying that she body shamed Riley Gaines by saying that Riley Gaines is built like a man. And Simone Biles, what I was saying, has come out before in the past saying how multiple people have body shamed her for having muscular features, looking more like a man, looking more masculine. So I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't say it the right way, or maybe you misunderstood. But Simone Biles was the one apologizing for body shaming. That was the part that she was apologizing for. That was the main thing, the main insult, when she said that I shouldn't have made it personal when it came to Riley Gaines, because all this was done with Simone Biles only making, I think, 2 tweets. I only think she wrote 2 posts. The one was calling out Riley, saying she's disgusting, all this other stuff. And the second one was saying that perhaps you should pick on somebody your own size, which ironically would be a man. Now, Riley Gaines is 5'5". I don't know where she got that from. I think there's some stuff on the internet saying that she may be 5'9", but I don't know. So please let me know. Unc wrote, to me, nephew, when someone poses a question like that, I let them know what we did with George Santos. George Santos, the Republicans ran him out just about as quick as they found them out. Yo, I'm not even familiar with George Santos. I'm gonna have to look that up. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.